Hi everyone, Happy New Year, Happy 2022. I'm so glad to be here today. I just wanted to go through a series of lessons, key lessons that we took from the SWANS study, the Staff Wellbeing and Network Support study from last year, 2021. The study report came out in October, and the final one was published in December 2021. But what I've set out to do is to produce a few um, uh, key messages from the report. The report itself is available for you to see. It's online, and hopefully I'll be able to put in a link to that down below. But this series will start today with the 6 T's of well-being uptake from this one study. So in this episode, I'm going to bring to you 6 key lessons that we saw from the SWAN study in terms of what is it that affects our uptake or access to staff well-being and staff networks. So the 6 T's start with the first T, which is tendency. Tendency means my personal um, propensity or inclination to seek help. Some people will seek help. Some people find it far more difficult to reach out and get help, the help that they need, or to connect with others. And therefore, my tendency and what works for me is important. I've known of colleagues who reach breaking point before they can put their hands up and say, I'm struggling. And this is one thing that we need to deal with, we need to address, and we need to confront to say, guys, let's get help. Help is out there. We've got a series of well-being offers that are available system-wide across Lincolnshire, which we are able to access. And what we're urging our colleagues to do is to reach out and get help before we reach breaking point. That's the first T, our tendency. Our second T is the team within which we work. Some teams are far more easier to talk about well-being, to talk about staff networks. And colleagues who want to access the relevant staff networks find it difficult to say out in certain teams that I need to access a staff network. And yet in other teams, it's actually being encouraged. Within our teams, is it frowned upon to talk about well-being, or is it encouraged to talk about our staff well-being, our staff networks, and whether or not we can access as people who identify with the staff network or allies? So these are the opportunities that we have to access our staff networks and also our well-being offers. So what team do we work in? Is it something that we talk about within our teams? The third T is technology. Technology has given us unprecedented access to each other, to be able to reach out and just talk to each other online. Teams itself is a technology platform that has really enabled our staff networks to flourish throughout the pandemic period. And yet, in certain teams, it's actually difficult to, and units and departments, it's actually difficult to get access to a technology point, to a laptop, to a desktop, to be able to access what well-being offers are online. And this is one of the issues that we are now doing to map out and see what areas need the technological resources to enable colleagues to access staff networks, staff well-being offers. The fourth T is time. Time is actually the key issue that was raised within the SWAN study. Colleagues felt that, yes, they wanted to access the staff well-being offers. Yes, they were aware of staff networks and they had set out to attend, but they just couldn't get the time within our day-to-day work. So this is one of the issues that, as a system, is now being identified as a real problem area for colleagues to have the time, particularly those with an elevated risk of COVID, for them to have some sort of time protection to be able to access staff network. So that's out there. The jury is out. We'll be hearing whether or not this has been addressed or this has been discussed. That's our fourth T. Our fifth T is trust. Do I trust the system? Do I trust that the person on the receiving end of my call will keep my information confidential? Do I trust that the seeking help will not be used against me? These are some of the issues that colleagues talked about in terms of the trust and the confidentiality that is to be upheld with our queries of well-being. The final T that I would like to talk about is trend. It has become trendy, hasn't it, to talk about well-being. More during this pandemic period, far more than ever before. And are we able to talk about staff well-being within our teams in terms of our management, our leadership? Are they talking about, are their messages reaching to our teams? Do we have trendsetters within our organizations who will say, I am in a leadership position, I have access to well-being, I am recommending that our colleagues reach out to what offers we have? So we need trendsetters. We need to make access to well-being trendy. We need to make it fashionable to reach out and get help. So the 60s of well-being uptake and staff networks uptake access is a tendency, my personal tendency. My team, the team within which I work, technology and access to technology, time, the opportunity to access what is available, trust to confidentiality, and my personal view of my inquiry and whether or not I feel confident that my information will be held securely. And finally, the trend, whether within our organizations we've got trendsetters, we are finding it easy as an organization to talk about well-being in staff networks. So those are the 60s of well-being uptake and staff networks access from the SWANS study. Thank you.